Hi, this is the last of 6 videos on MySQL as part of the web app development course at Strathclyde. There's a bunch of other videos on other aspects of web development. In these previous videos, we have created a database of a contact list. We've created a pop-up menu to select from it. We've shown the results of a person search. We've inserted a person. In this video, what I'm going to look at is updating a person. So getting their records out of the database into a form, editing it in the form, and then sending it back into the database. In the book, we're looking at these chapters. And the content is we're going to build on the same database as previous videos. We're going to create a form to edit a new entry. It's a 4-part form. We're going to do it differently this time. In this video, I'm going to focus on a single PHP file. So there'll be no HTML or swapping between pages. It's going to be a single PHP file that creates all the stages. First stage is we're going to look at MySQL, PHP-MyAdmin, update a record there, copy the PHP out of that, and paste that into a form so that we've got a direct change. We can modify exact values. We then have to get those values from a form, so we'll change it to base the submission on post values. We then need a form to fill in, so we'll get the post values from the database for a person and fill in a form, and then we'll pick from the menu to select. So working through this in reverse is what the user will do. They'll pick a person from a menu. We will then get a form back to them populated for that person. We'll then, when it's submitted, update the database based on the submitted values. Okay, so over to PHP-MyAdmin. Have a look at our database, which was WAD phone book. If we look here, you can see the things that we entered last time. We can update one, so I'm going to update Mary by just clicking Edit. Make this a wee bit bigger. I'm just going to stick X's at the end of all of these simple edits so we can see them. They're all just strings, so that's okay. We don't change the ID. Hit go. And we see the SQL that was issued. And if we create the PHP code, it creates that for us. So it's an update in the database, set name equals that, email equals that, so that's all the new values, where the ID is 2. Okay, so it's a simple SQL update statement. Right, over to NetBeans. Let's create an update form. PHP, so the update. And like before, I'm going to grab our blank HTML, paste it in there so we've got a blank document. And I'm also going to prop up, we've got to connect to the database first, so I may as well grab that from code we've got previously. Connect to the database. I'm going to do it slightly differently this time, and I'm going to put that straight under my copyright header. Okay, you can come in and out of PHP as often as you want on HTML in a PHP file, so we'll just come into it straight away. We'll may as well indent that slightly better. That's fine. So that's our block code for connecting to the database. We can remove some lines. We covered that in previous lectures, previous videos. So that's us connecting. What's the next thing we do? Well, we set up the SQL query. That's okay. So we get the SQL query from here. And in our update, I'm going to do this down here in response in the content of the form where we normally do things. Okay. So SQL equals update, and we can reformat this a wee bit. NetBeans is great for hitting return. Just hit return after all these commas, and it'll do the extra syntax we need to have a bunch of separate strings joined together. It makes it much easier to read. So that's our SQL statement. What do we do with that? We just do the same as we did previously. We have to execute that to the server. So it's for the connection that we set up here. We connect, we send the query. If that's true, we say update successful. Else, we say error on update. And again, that's for security. We should really take that out because it will leak data of the database. The last thing we need to do is close the connection. Okay. Oh, we didn't do that there. That was naughty. Okay. And I'm going to do that right at the bottom, just so that later on we're going to do other queries. So I'm just going to do connection.close here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the x's that we added out. Okay. Still updating 2, so don't change anything else. Save that. It's in update.php. So if we go to here and add update, we've got an error. Error on syntax. You move an error in SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to it's in line 1. It's the right syntax near Mary. Oh, we didn't take out the backslashes. Remember this really annoyance with. I really don't understand this one. I don't know why, but we have to take out the backslashes manually. So it says backslash quote, but it's a double quote string, so you don't need the backslashes, and it confuses it because it sends it over. Previous, replace, replace. So all our backslash single quotes we replace with just straight ones. Save that. Refresh. Hey, update successful. Go back here, browse the database, look at Mary, and we've lost the X's. So the update was successful. Grand. Right, now we have to get so that's the first step. We've got a fixed update written. That was easy. Now we want to replace these with post variables. I'm going to do that slightly different this time. I'm going to, at the top of my code, I'm going to declare a function. Save post. Okay, I'm going to pass it the database connection, and I'm going to pass it the name of the variable to get it. And then I'm going to just say if set then return the connection, connection real escape string of strip tags of post name. And that shouldn't be a dollar. No, that should be a dollar. It shouldn't be in quotes though. It doesn't matter actually. It can be in quotes, but it kind of doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be. Okay, so if the name attribute of post is set, then we use it. We strip any HTML tags that are inside it, and then we make it safe for MySQL by running real escape string, and that means that we escape out any single quotes and semicolons and stuff that would cause trouble to the SQL server. We should use braces around all this. Else, return the empty string. Okay? And that means that after this function is called, we've either got empty or a value. Okay, we don't have any undeclared variables or anything. And then here I'm going to safely get them all. So we'll start with name. Oops. No, what am I doing? I'm going to call save post. Save post. Passed it the connection and name. And we have to do that for user email. Have we got phone, Twitter, and Facebook? Oh, we don't have to copy that one. We do have to copy that one. We have to copy that one. We have to copy that one. We have to copy that one. We've got a red underline and a error here. Oh, I've just deleted the dollar. Go away. Pop-up menus are really helpful sometimes, really annoying sometimes. You can hit escape to get rid of them or tap away. Yeah. So that's them all set up. I'm actually going to do another one, which is ID, because in some cases we may be passing the ID, and I want to have all my variables that I might use set up here. Okay, so name gets put in there instead of Mary. Email gets put in there instead of that. The phone gets put in instead of that. The Twitter gets put in here instead of that. Facebook gets put in instead of that. And the ID goes here. Boom. Okay. And now we're setting up a whole bunch of checks, a whole bunch of replacements in that string. We might want to do some more integrity checking. We might want to check the ID is okay. We might want to check that at least one of these values matches the old value to make sure that we're not completely changed the record, because that would be weird. You've also got to worry a little bit about this ID because that's coming from the client, so it could be hacked. You have to think about security around things like that. We'll come back to that in the security lecture. So that's fine, but where are we getting these post variables for? So we've directly changed, we did that. We've got the change based on the post values, yeah. We now need a form that we can get the post values from. Okay. I'm going to add another variable here called action. I'm going to pass around. And down here, I'm going to say if action is equal to do update, then we do this bit. Okay. So the idea is that we're going to get a post variable across going do update, and if do update is set, if action is set to do update, then we actually do the update based on the post data. Now maybe we want to put some errors in here. So if we want, what do we want? We want one of them true or something. We want one of them not to be empty. So if $name equals $email and it equals $phone and it equals $Twitter and it equals $Facebook and it equals empty string, then we have a problem, so we'll die no value set. Okay, and of course we're not allowed to just do that, so we have to bracket these. That was a stupid way of doing that. It's probably easier just to do them, they all equal that, isn't it? Been trying to do much maths recently. Oh, there we go. That equals, right, that, bracket, and that equals that, bracket, and sorry, I shouldn't whistle, that's very rude. Boring though, boring. Come on. Okay, thank you, PHP. You're happy with that. Right. So we're good for the do update. If we actually get told to update it, we're good. Now we need if action equals get form. Hang on, what I'm going to do for testing is I'm going to put that further down. So otherwise we'll get the form just now and then we can convert that into an if later. So fix me add action equals get form. Okay, so in this part what I'm going to do is get the form. So the easiest way of doing this is actually quite cheeky. We can just escape the PHP, which is the other way around because we're in PHP just now. We can come out of PHP and in here we can just have plain HTML. And if we go back, we had our insert HTML form, so we can copy this form, stick it in here. Okay, so we've left PHP here and we've re-entered PHP here, but this code, this is the clever bit, that is still within this if expression in PHP. Okay, so this will only be executed if we're in the else clause, which is neat. Okay, so in here we've got, we don't want that form action. Actually, with HTML5 this was much simplified and you can just leave it like that now. So if you're submitting, if a page is submitting to itself, you just don't have an action. The method is still post. That's the details. So now what we have, if I save that, go over here, hit return to go to the blank edition of the page without any submission. Then we get the form back. Undefined constant assumed action 49, that's a mistake. Oh yeah, dollar, refresh, there we go, we've got our form. The idea now is if we fill in that form, it goes back and it says action. So what I'm going to add is an input field here, which is type hidden, name equals action, value equals do update. And that means when it gets back to us, that variable will be set. The user won't see anything, so it's hidden on the form. If you view the source, you can see it though. So yeah. Okay, so that's fine. But we've got a blank form, and we don't want a blank form. We want the form populated from the database. So we should do some database lookup. It's actually quite like what we did for show. So if we go back to our code for show, we connect it to the database, all done. We then we ran that query. and we did that with the output. So let's copy that, go back to update, put it in the PHP just before the form, reformat it, result connection, so select star from database where ID equals, we don't want user ID, we want ID. Okay. So this page expects to get an ID, and we'll then load that one. For now, I'm going to fix that to 2 so that we can debug it. It issues the query, it gets the results. If something is wrong, it dies with an error. If not, it loops around the results, but we're only going to get one. So I'm going to change that to an if. And what I'm going to do in here is set a bunch of variables up. So I'm going to say, and actually I can set up the same bunch of variables we've got up here because these will currently be empty. Because this is the form that creates them. So I'm just going to reuse those variable names, but inside this bit, which is getting the first reply from the database, email is going to be name. Oops. Sorry, name is name, email is email. Left a curly bracket there. I'm just going to do it like that, would be easier, I think. Oh. And so we've got name, email, phone, Twitter. Okay, so what I'm doing is the row is the first row of the reply from the database select. I'm getting them all into those variables. And I'm happy at that point. So by the time we get here, now I have variables set up with $IDs details. Okay. And down here, we put the value in. We'll start by putting empty value in, and then in here we can do a little bit of cheeky pop back into PHP. Okay. We could have done all this by echoes. So we could echo this form out as a bunch of echo statements, but it's easier just to leave PHP. Where you're doing a lot of HTML, you come out of PHP, do the HTML, and then go back into PHP, because you can always pop in and out, which is very clever, if a wee bit confusing at times. So that's a little bit of PHP inside that, banged right up against the quotes. Okay? And the idea is that little bit of PHP is going to have a little bit of code in it that fills that hole. So I'm just going to do echo $name here. Okay? And that's it. So let's test that before we go much further. If I refresh the page, oh, no database selected. I don't quite get this. I'm not sure why it does this, but sometimes my PHP adds this is database name. Sometimes it doesn't. You can select the database with the connection by adding it at the end of the connect statement here. Or you can say it in the queries, you say database dot blah. We seem to be having to do database dot blah because we've not selected it. Sometimes PHP fills it in for you, sometimes it doesn't. No idea why. Answers on a postcard. Try again. But that was a problem. We had no query. We hadn't told it what query to use up when we connected, and then we did a query which we select without specifying the database. We just specified the table. Try again. Yay, we've got Mary in there now. So if we copy this value statement, so the value is an attribute that pre-fills, and it works for texts and it works for the text-like inputs. It doesn't work for, you have to do a different approach for radio buttons and select buttons. Okay, and then I better change the names to fit. And annoyingly, you have to manually type the dollars or select carefully. I'm worried about that. Something's gone wrong with my quotes because the highlighting is not consistent. Oh yeah, I've missed a quote there. Make sure it's right against the PHP so that we don't have a space afterwards. Because spaces do matter in the values of strings. And it's going to be outside the PHP. I think that's right. Yeah, it's consistently highlighted, which is good. It doesn't know Facebook. What kind of dictionary is that? I don't even know how to fix it. Never mind. Reload. Save. Reload. Try again. There we go. So what have we got now? We now have a form where the post values are, we have a post form populated from the database for a person. Okay. It then sends back the update. It also better actually send back the ID of the person. Okay. So what I'm going to do to fix so that we can test this is I'm just going to have a line in here that says $ID equals 2, because the idea is that we'll get that from the menu, so there'll be a form before this, which is our menu, and I'll change that to $ID. Okay. And then we have to pass the ID back to ourselves. So hidden name equals ID, value equals, we need another wee bit of PHP in here, which is echo the ID. Okay. Save that. Refresh. 94, we have a syntax error, an unexpected question mark. Oh yeah, let's try that. Query failed. Oh, that's in the wrong if branch. I don't have to do that. Donk. Refresh. There. Look at the page source. You see that this is all the bits that we got from PHP are just filled in as if they were hard-coded. Okay, we've got our two hidden fields, including IDs 2 and do update. So now what happens when I submit is if I change her phone number to have an area code of 999, that would be a bad area code, then we hit submit. It's going to take this data that it's going to tell our code, it's going to go back to the PHP file. It's going to go back to the source, but this time all these values will be populated in the post along with this. So it will say it's to update it, and it's to say it's to update number 2. So if I submit that, it should say update successful. And if we go here and browse the database again, we see that Mary now has a 999 area code. Awesome local area code. So, next step, this is the big one, is to pick from a menu to select the user to edit. So we need another form. So if the action's that, then we do that. In this case, we actually want to now get rid of this so that it's if the action is equal to get form, then we'll do that there. And we'll have a wee form before that, it's just the pop-up menu. that we developed last time. Get rid of that, so it's now general ID. And I'm going to stick that right at the end because that's the default action. So if we're not to do an update and we're not to get the form, then we ask the user to pick. So we've basically got PHP in 3 blocks here. The first block is do the final update to the database. Second block is about here, yep. Click, click, come on. Get a populated form, get a populated form for ID equals $ID. And then here, what we want to do is ask user to pick an ID. Okay, we've been there. We wrote that before. We wrote that as a picker. Yeah, I think that was actually our index page in the end. Select star from the phone book. Create the options menu. Yep, close the connection. So it's a select to. It's the start of the select there. That's the issue. The query there. We're already connected up here. It's that bit we need to copy. Stick that in there. Donk. Now this is going to appear actually, we don't have quite enough going on here because we're just outputting the select statement. It needs to be in a form. So we may as well just echo it before the select statement, which is there. Boom. Oh, we have to escape our quotes. And then after the select statement, we can end the form. Oops. And we have to have the equivalent of these 2 lines. It's only 2 lines, so I'm not going to bother leaving PHP and coming back in. We'll just do it as a single big quote. Okay, so heading, name, action, and it's get form this time as our action. So the action is get form, and oops, come on. The ID is actually, no, we don't need that because the ID is what we're picking here. Okay, so that's what our select statement is doing. That's giving us the ID as a post variable this time. So we don't have that data at this stage, so we don't need that, but I think that is that. Is that valid? Yep. Okay, so we've got an input, a hidden field that says to get the form, and that's within the form, but not within the select. So we're going to split that line, take the form out there, take the select out there. So we end the select, we have an input field, we end the form. Save. And that's our default behavior. Go here. Return to load the page blank. Without any post data. Try again. No database selected. Tell what database. Select from boom. I have a menu and I pick Goofy Jr. Let's pick this one that went wrong. Okay, I think I need a submit button. So let's add that. It might have been worth leaving PHP after all. So one of the strange things about this is that you're writing PHP to generate HTML. You get used to it after a while. So let's see if we can edit this one that was an injection attempt. So we submit that. We get it back. That's goofy submit false attempts data. And we can now change that to, oh, let him join the family. We make him Goofy Duck. I don't know what Goofy's surname was. Submit that. Update successful. Browse. Yes. So, to recap, let's load the page. Starting at the user starts. We use, when the page is first loaded, it's the else condition at the end that's run. We use the stuff that we created previously to pick a user from the database. So we issue a command to populate the drop-down menu with the names of people who are in the database. We use their IDs as the values in that pop-down menu. Okay, so Fred has ID 1, so we return ID equals 1 as the pop-up menu if we pick Fred. Let's pick a Goofy Jr. So Goofy Jr. is ID 6, so the server gets told load ID 6. We hit submit, it gets told load ID 6, and we had the hidden field in there that says get the form. So we then run this bit of code on the PHP file. This PHP code selects from the database for ID 6, what was it? Yeah, and gets all their data from the database by a select statement, fills in all these variables, then populates the form with those values and the same names, so that when they're resubmitted, we'll get the updated versions. We have an action of do update, and we've got the ID that was passed to us. So when I make a change here, like give them a new phone number, submit that, it then comes back with do the update, and the code that's up here gets run, and that checks it if something's filled in. If it is, it creates an SQL query and issues that to the server and says update successful. And if we look here, browse, we can see that he's now got his new phone number. And everything is safe because when we got the variables, we got them all through the safe post function, which strips the tags to prevent HTML injection and strips the SQL troublesome stuff. So that's us. Next time, we start looking at JavaScript.